Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we are going to be doing some longer-term technical analysis on Bitcoin because in this video, I'm going to be showing you the massive consolidation pattern that Bitcoin finds itself in right now that no one's talking about, and really, we need to be talking about this because this is the pattern that is going to allow volatility to return to the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency markets. As you guys may have noticed, the last 6 weeks or so on Bitcoin have been relatively boring, but hopefully that will be coming to an end quite soon. Right now, we're sitting above a critical level of support, that being the 20-weekly exponential moving average, and a critical downtrending level of resistance, the one that has been in effect for nearly 3 years now. So in this video, we are going to be talking about that consolidation pattern that those two levels create and where Bitcoin may break out of said pattern. Guys, we have a lot of technical analysis to get into in today's video, and I have a feeling that you haven't seen what I'm going to be discussing here, so if you do enjoy today's video, as always, consider hitting that like and subscribe button, and without much further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Guys, you know, last week was just one of those weeks. I was so tired. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I accidentally slept into like noon today. Woke up at 8 o'clock. I was like, I'll take another 5 minutes. Fell so asleep, my alarm didn't even wake me up. Slept another 4 hours. I'm so tired. I'm recording this at 1 in the afternoon. All the more reason to hurry up, so let's go ahead and jump onto the chart. This video starts out on the weekly chart, and the reason for that is, guys, this moving average right here. It would be the 20-weekly EMA, the only one on the chart at the current moment, and you guys may be familiar with this one because I have talked about it at length on this channel in every single time frame. In fact, the very last video on CT2A right over there is actually on the 20 exponential moving average. So for those like 200 of you guys who have joined this month, that would be a good place to go and research. Nevertheless, if you look back at the history of the Bitcoin market, going back to the very, very beginning, we see Bitcoin respecting this level as a critical level of support and resistance. Even the very first time Bitcoin touched it, on the oldest chart for Bitcoin that we have, Bitcoin used it as support. Then we used it as confirmation of bearish momentum. In 2011, mind you, nearly a decade ago, Bitcoin was respecting this. When we got above it here in 2012, that kicked off the bull market, and Bitcoin would stay above it until, you guessed it, we entered the bear market. During the bear market, we used it as resistance. When we fell below it, we had a major pullback, and when we broke above it, we had a major rally. You can literally go through the entire history of the Bitcoin market and see Bitcoin respecting this level. It is a critical level on the weekly chart for Bitcoin, and as you can see, we're sitting just above it right now. This is the BLX Brave New Coin Liquid Index chart, by the way, for any of you who aren't familiar with it. As you can see right up here, Brave New Coin Liquid Index for Bitcoin. What this chart does is it's a composite of many different charts that create the longest running chart for the history of Bitcoin. This is a great way of doing technical analysis if you're trying to analyze back in 2011, 12, and 13 before charts like the Coinbase chart and the Bitfinex chart will actually show you. Coinbase goes back to 2015, Bitfinex goes back to 2013 and a half. So if you want to go all the way back, you need to look at BLX. Anyway, so we understand the support, but now let's look at the resistance. As you guys are probably aware of this one, Bitcoin has been under this downtrending level of resistance on the log chart, as we have down here, for the last couple of years. And what that means is that since Bitcoin is above the 20-weekly EMA and below that red downtrending level of resistance, we have what is, in effect, a massive bull pennant or consolidation pattern, symmetrical triangle pattern. All words are correct here. Bitcoin rallied, started trading sideways, fell into this pattern, which means that about 70% of the time, we would expect Bitcoin to break bullish here. But hold up, let's pump the brakes and check that. As you guys are probably aware, just because Bitcoin is supposed to break to the upside does not always mean that it is going to, as we have seen many times in the history of Bitcoin. So let's look at some more technical indicators, shall we? Because the first thing I'd like to point out is that even though the weekly chart looks bullish from the chart pattern point of view, which being this bullish pennant, if we look at our oscillators, it's not so clear. As you can see, it looks like we're trying to have a bearish cross on the MACD, as we had a major uptrending momentum here on weekly MACD, but it has now started to fall off as Bitcoin has also been falling off and trending to the downside. Same thing with Stochastic RSI. It was overbought and it has now had a cross and is moving to the downside, which is indicative of bearish pressure and momentum. And even down on the daily chart, we talked about this a few days ago, we had the 20 daily EMA cross below the 50 daily SMA, which is a bearish cross. And traditionally, when you see a cross like this, the last one that we saw, by the way, being right here, you typically see some kind of correction on Bitcoin. On top of that, even though Bitcoin is above the 20 weekly EMA, on the daily chart, we're using it as resistance, as you can see here. In fact, a couple of days ago, one of our subscribers over in the first cohort was in a short position and asked me, Jeb, I'm in loss. I'm in the negatives for my short position right now. Do you think I should exit it? I told him 3 things. I told him these 3 things need to happen before Bitcoin will enter an uptrend, before you can be sure that your short is going to be an absolute failure. First of all, Bitcoin has to get above the 20 daily EMA. Second of all, Bitcoin has to get above this short-term downtrending level of resistance. Third of all, Bitcoin has to make a higher high right here above $9,800. If Bitcoin does that, we're in a technical uptrend. Otherwise, your short position is probably safe until we've broken at least one of those. What did we see happen? Lo and behold, Bitcoin rejected off of that 20 DEMA, pulled back 12 hours later, he was in profit again, and I have a feeling he closed it at break even or in profit. That all not to pat myself on the back, but to show you the power of the 20 EMA on the daily chart, and the same thing is true on the weekly chart. So where does this leave Bitcoin? If we're above the 20 weekly EMA and we're below a long-term downtrending level of resistance, both of them are very powerful. You have an immovable object and an unstoppable force. Which one is going to win? Well, eventually the tension gets too high and something has to give. And I'll be honest with you guys, based on the fact that we are trending to the upside, based on the fact that, by the way, I forgot to mention this, we're seeing a bullish golden cross between the 20 and the 50, which as denoted by this 4 right here is only the 4th time in the history of the cryptocurrency that has ever happened, and all 3 other times kicked off a bull market right here, here, and here. My bet is in the bullish camp. My bet is that Bitcoin is going to trade sideways, maybe continue trending to the downside to at maximum about $8,600, $8,700 over the next couple of weeks, really the entire month of July. And then from there, we're going to have some kind of news story. We're going to have some kind of institution step in buying Bitcoin. We're going to have some whale come in, or we're just going to have all the stars align and Bitcoin's going to come up here, test this resistance. And finally, we're going to start creeping through it, and then we're going to blow up. I mean, if you guys will remember, that's kind of what happened when Bitcoin broke through $6,000. We just crept up to it and just slowly started to get through it, and then we just mooned. $6,000 is probably the closest equitable level of resistance that we have faced in the last 2 years to what we're looking at now. Bitcoin rallied up to it and just kind of ignored it, you know? And then after we were at about $6,400 and everybody's like, okay, we're good, we're fine, then we mooned. I have a feeling something similar is going to happen in the next couple of weeks, maybe in the next month or so. And because that does seem to be the case, I want to give you guys my price target here. I am of the opinion that Bitcoin is going to be trading above $10,000 by the end of this year, but when exactly that happens is going to be up for debate. I personally think that within 12 to 24 months, Bitcoin will be back at $20,000. How it gets there, we can't really know for sure, because how Bitcoin reacts to breaking a 2.5-year-long downtrending level of resistance is not really known. We've only ever seen that happen once. It did result in a 1,000% return on a major bull market, but we don't know exactly how that's going to play out. So I'll tell you, my price target is over $10,000 by the end of this year and $20,000 within the next 24 months. It's very vague, I understand, but the point is not exactly where Bitcoin is going to go. The point is not for me to say $17,841.62, 0.3, because you can have 0.3 of a cent. No, the point of this is not to do that. The point of this is to make you guys understand that Bitcoin's future is bright. The Bitcoin future is bullish. Bitcoin is looking good for the long term, and that is what is important. What's not really so much important is the actual ROI, the actual return, because if we're in Bitcoin, you can pretty much expect it to be better than the stock market, better than real estate. So we're more interested in just making sure that it's going to go up. And the fact is, everything's pointing to it doing so. We've talked about this in other videos with the stock-to-flow ratio, with the new addresses on Glassnode, with new people stepping into the space, new institutions stepping into the space, the underlying intrinsic value of Bitcoin, the long-term fundamental analysis, the long-term technical analysis. Everything points to Bitcoin rallying to the upside, and I think we're about to see a major cross coming in the next couple of weeks, and that's the main reason I'm making this video, is that when we see that breakout, not the cross, when we see that breakout, that is going to be huge for Bitcoin, so keep your eyes peeled for it. I understand Bitcoin is a little bit boring right now, but when that ends, it's going to sneak up on you, and you're probably not going to expect it. But when it happens, you're going to want to be there, because that's going to be a great time to put in a long position or a short position, respective of the breakout direction. So guys, I encourage you, one of the indicators I use is something I call the YouTube fundamental indicator, which is where I look at the number of views that different YouTubers are getting in relation to what they've done to their content. Our content, very similar to what we normally do. Carl's content, very similar to what he normally does. Alessio's, Data Dash's, Sunny D, everybody's content is very similar to what they normally do. No one's made any massive changes lately, but everybody on YouTube is seeing about 30% less views. That's because people are leaving the cryptocurrency space, and I know that some people watching this might be thinking about doing that because Bitcoin isn't doing anything. I am encouraging you, don't do that. That is a big mistake because it's not going to give you warning when Bitcoin breaks out. You're going to have to be watching the charts every day to see when it's coming. Bitcoin isn't just going to post on Medium or something saying 7 days till breakout. Make sure you have your position in, guys. Make sure that you're ready for me to blow up. It's not going to do that. You have to be here to see it happen, to make the most out of it. So a lot of people try and leave in times like these. I encourage you, don't do that. That would be a big mistake. And you don't want to make a mistake, especially not in front of the boss lady. Anyway, guys, that is pretty much going to wrap it out for today's video. I have to go out into the big bad world and, you know, like go to the store with my 17 masks on. See, there's a... Is this enough? You think this is enough? I think it's enough. You know, I've seen so many videos online. Wow, I can actually hear myself. I've seen so many videos online of people getting pissed off at people for not wearing masks. I'm like, yeah, wear your mask, but also don't be mean. Anyway, guys, 2020 has been a wild ride of a year. We're now in quarter 3, and I think things are going to start getting better. They might get a little bit worse before they get better, but in general, I think the rest of 2020 is going to be a little bit happier, a little more happy-go-lucky than the beginning of the year was. Hopefully, 2021 will be a lot better, and I hope you guys have had a blessed year. Hopefully, you guys have been safe. Hopefully, everybody has made gains, and hopefully, no one is in dire straits because of this. Look, I know the economic impact that Rona has had, the social impact, the mental impact that Corona has had has been strong, has been severe. But guys, before I close out the video, I want to encourage you with something that I've learned over the hell that I've gone through, and that would be you grow when you're going through pain. It is my belief that most lessons that have been learned in human history have had to have been learned the hard way by someone. For people to realize, oh, don't step out in traffic. Probably someone got hit by a car, and they're like, let's not do that. For people to take not standing on railroad tracks when there's trains active was probably, you know, that was probably learned the hard way by someone at least one time. Because the wisdom is in sometimes you realize something, but you don't understand the importance and the significance of something until you've gone through it yourself or you've watched someone else go through it. And we can apply that to what we're going through right now, guys. This has been a very hard year for a lot of people. That much is very much true. But at the same time, this year will end. This pandemic will end. This economic uncertainty will end. And we will be there when it's over. And we'll be stronger for it because we've gone through pain and we've learned from it. Because there's always going to be pain in life. There's always going to be hardship in life. There's always going to be challenge in life. The question is not, can you stop the challenge? The question is, how will you respond? So ask yourself, how have you responded to 2020? Have you responded in fear, or have you responded boldly? Have you responded in cowering, or have you responded in philanthropy? What have you done this year? Have you grown, or have you shrunk? Where are you headed? It is my belief that there's a point in which everybody wishes that they were, and no one is in fact where they wish they were. Even billionaires who seem to have everything, they always want something different for themselves. They want something to be a little bit different. They're always chasing something or they wouldn't have gotten there in the first place. I think that is definitely true for us plebeians down here on the front lines. We all have an idea of who we want to be, where we want to be. The question is not why are we not there yet. The question is how fast are we moving towards that dream? Because a lot of people have dreams, but they don't have goals, which is almost as bad as having a goal with no dream to reach for. So be very careful of having that point in your head and not moving towards it, because it's in times like these where you can improve your life and make the rest of your life better because of the lessons that you've learned through this hardship. Winston Churchill once said, never let a good crisis go to waste. He was talking about getting reelected and office and everything. But in your own life, I would encourage you also, never let a good crisis go to waste, because it's a great time for you to grow and develop in yourself for the benefit of you, your family, your church, your community, and everyone around you. When we move into this office, we're going to have our mission statement and 3 posters to explain that mission statement below it. And one of those posters is going to be about self-development. It's going to be about the importance of always improving yourself, always striving, always doing better. So make sure you guys never waste a crisis, because it's in crisis where you'll learn the most valuable lessons. Anyway, guys, that's just my 2 cents here at the end of the video. Let me know what you think about the analysis today in the comments section down below. I'd love to hear your opinion. Where do you think Bitcoin is going? Do you think a massive breakout is coming, or do you think Bitcoin is about to fall down to Gehenna and we're going to have to wait a couple more years for Bitcoin to rally back to $20,000? I would love to hear your opinions on that in the comment section down below. Anyway, guys, that is going to wrap it out for today's video. Before I go, though, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.